identity cards the Independent on Sunday can reveal. I tell you what, I'm bloody glad I decided to come here. I really am. And so what we have is now a twin point of everything to do with Big Brother in terms of opposition between David Davis and Shami Chakrabarti. Shami Chakrabarti was a Home Office barrister from 1996 until September the 10th, 2001, the day before 9/11, when she became head of Liberty. She's an alumna of the British America Project, described as a junior Bilderberg, which was created to promote British-American relations and is sponsored by Monsanto and a stream of American corporations. She is a governor of the Ditchley Foundation, which you'll find in this book from 15 years ago. And it is connected into the Bilderbergs and that network we saw earlier. And that was created to promote British-America relations. Now, I'm not saying she's knowingly manipulated. I don't know that. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm not saying it is true. I don't know that. But what we've got here is the manipulation of a situation in which establishment figures, because whatever she might say, she's an establishment figure, and so is David Davis. Establishment figures are hijacking, for whatever reason, the Big Brother opposition that is being introduced by other parts of the establishment. And as a result, narrowing the debate so people like me and the information that I'm talking about today don't get access to it. Let's just worry about England first. Then somebody who's here today, was canvassing a little bit yesterday for me, came across David Davis synchronistically, asked him about the Bilderberg group, and according to what she tells me, he said he didn't know anything about it. And could someone send information? Well, he obviously doesn't talk to George Osborne, the Shadow Chancellor, and as things stand at the moment, the next Chancellor of the Exchequer of this country in control of our finance, or much as we do control our finance now. He was at the Bilderberg group meeting a few weeks ago in Washington, and that's the third he's attended. And he was asked by someone who's been supporting me in this constituency, David Cameron, when he was here a few days ago, about the Bilderberg group, and he said, there's nothing to worry about, basically. And if it was important, I'd want to be there, he said. Well, stick around, mate. Your chance will come, don't you worry. So this Big Brother by-election is not what it seems. And when we're talking about limiting the debate, my goodness me, it's been limited in the time I've been here. They don't want to talk about any of this stuff. And when you talk to it to the media, of course, you're a nutter and you're all pushed aside. This is what it's about, controlling the debate. So what do you do then? You control the outcome. Yeah. I tried to get into a David Davis, Bob Geldof public presentation in the whole Guildhall the other day. I wasn't going to cause trouble. I went along. I'd got a ticket. A constituent in this constituency had got me a ticket. It was a public one, as long as you had a ticket. And I turn up. I just wanted to listen to what they had to say. I'm a researcher. I want to know. If I got a chance to ask a question, great. If I didn't, well, equally great. At least I'd see what they got to say. And then suddenly, you know, the pound of lard with a shirt on came over, hyperactive, boom. Suddenly, a miracle happened and it became a private event. It's kind of funny because this is the guy who stopped me. His name's Andrew Percy. He's a prospective candidate for Goole, I think, that constituency. And this is what he said after the Geldof meeting, in which he'd stopped me attending. So Bob came to speak at a gathering from across Yorkshire, about the people across Yorkshire, about the erosion of liberty and freedom in the UK in recent years. His speech was brilliant, and I particularly like the extract below, which talks about the loss of our freedoms and privacy in recent years. Compartmentalization of the mind. And while this is going on, and this level of the, quote, debate is going on, global Big Brother is expanding its power by the hour now, as control goes further and further away. And it's going into the fine detail of our lives. We're now having people looking through rubbish to see if there's any evidence of activity, of terrorist activity. You can't even relax when you're putting your rubbish out in the bin. And then there's this thing. Traffic wardens. This is an interesting one. A few weeks ago, well, a few months ago now, I had a letter from a traffic warden somewhere in Britain. He's still a traffic warden, so I won't say who it was. And he told me a strange story and said I might find it of interest. He said he was called, he'd been a traffic warden for a long time, nice chap. And he said he was called in by the boss, who gave him, out of nowhere, 3 cards. One was a card that gave him authority to be a traffic warden, fair enough. But the second card was what they call a pace card. And on it are the words that you have to say, that a policeman says, to arrest somebody. You do not have to say anything but anything you do not say. That one. It's called a pace card. And the third card, was his authority to enter private property. Of course he's going, hold on a second, what's going on? I'm a traffic warden, I give tickets for parking, I don't want these. And the boss said, go away and put him away until further notice. A few days later, he's with a group of traffic wardens near the police station, and an old friend of his, he hadn't seen him for a while, he was a policeman, walks out of the police station with a briefcase, walks over and makes conversation with the traffic wardens, there. And then, towards the end, he said to this guy, who's the old friends, he called him over. And he said, I want to tell you something. And about 4 or 5 times in this conversation, the policeman said, don't tell anybody else. Don't repeat this, whatever you do. This policeman said that he had been designated to do a job in that county, and there was someone like him in every other county. He said his job, and his fellow officers around the country, was to prepare for a coming war. That this war was expected to trigger enormous civil unrest in Britain, and that the military and the mainstream police force would be overwhelmingly focused on dealing with the civil unrest. Therefore, people like traffic wardens, private security firms, and CCTV operators, etc., were going to be brought forward to do the jobs that the mainstream police force were currently doing, but would be tied up with over this civil unrest. He said, that's why you have been given these cards. A few days after this letter arrived, and I talked to him and he sent me the cards and I saw them and sent them back so he wouldn't get found out, I picked up the newspaper to see that traffic wardens were being redesignated civil enforcement officers and being given greater powers. This is the world we're looking at, and these things that come out of nowhere, oh, where did that come from, are manipulated and manipulated behind the scenes until they come to the surface in apparently out of nowhere, not out of nowhere at all. So, the elephant in the living room is there when you connect the dots. It ain't there when you don't. So they don't want the dots connecting. And this is what it's about. You know why it's gone into the fine detail of our lives, and you can't put, things in your car saying it's for sale. It's the same principle, because this is a mind game in the end. It's a mind game. If you can control people's mind and perception, you control their actions. It's a mind game. Everything's up here. The idea is to do the same on the population as a whole that they do on laboratory rats and mice in these laboratory mazes, where they put a mouse in a maze, and if it goes down certain channels within the maze, it gets an electric shock. After it's been shocked a few times, you can take the electronic equipment away, and that mouse will still not go down that channel. What you've done is programmed the mouse into acquiescence to do what you want them to do, to become subservient to what you want the mouse to do. Now, what is happening now is in all these areas of our lives, right down to the finest detail now, as I say, we are being shocked in various ways no matter what we do. Traffic cameras, surveillance cameras, cards in windows, rubbish bin out on the wrong day, fine. Huh? What it's doing is creating a situation in the collective mind where I guess you could describe it as anything for a quiet life. Subservience. And the tasers with the police are fundamentally connected to the same thing. I know you're talking rubbish, officer. I know you're wrong. I know it's outrageous, but if I do anything to resist that, you're going to use that thing on me. I'll go quietly. We're laboratory rats or mice in a maze. And what we need to do is take the shocks and still go anyway. I've been... I've spent 20 years being ridiculed, being abused, being misrepresented, being made fun of, being laughed at in the street, having my kids laughed at school. I'm still fricking here. Political correctness. In Orwell's 1984 book, he had a thing called Newspeak. You know, and he said, you know, when you, at this level of reality, there are many other levels of reality, we won't go there today, though I do, but at this level of reality, we think in words. You have a thought, you think it in words. When you reduce the language available through political correctness, and now this you are speak in text language and stuff, you are, as time passes, what we call time anyway, you are suppressing the amount of words to describe your own thoughts, never mind your own views. This is what political correctness is about, and also playing minorities off against each other. And the left in politics has been played like a violin. I'm from the left, there's me art right there. And here's me sodding brain here. There are a lot of genuine people on the left, what they call on the left. It's all a load of crap anyway, right, left, it's all part of the same scam. Doesn't matter. You know, you go far enough right, you meet yourself on the left coming back, the same bloody thing. There's some genuine people who want to do genuine things, but they've been scammed. And one of the scams is supporting political correctness. You can't upset somebody. Well, maybe they deserve to be upset. I'm upset that I can't have my view. Okay, that's not political correct. You know, I've got a hand that's completely knackered through arthritis, right? The only thing I can do with my hands is type with those fingers, very little else, right? It's crippled. My hand is crippled. You want to tell me my hand is crippled? I don't have a problem with that. You know why? It's bloody crippled. But no.
Free our minds from the programming that turns infinite consciousness, having an experience, into a four-legged animal from which we get wool, that have lost the ability to decide perception and reality for themselves and have to have it decided for them.